important. And I can almost guarantee through this live stream, I'm going to say opportunities a lot. But what I really mean is priorities. So let's get that straight before we start here. And then I kind of want to go through here real quick and then just kind of make sure everything is good. So I think we're good. Okay. I mean, here we go. Oh, maybe not. All right, it's fine. All right. Anyways, cool. So, I want to start talking about priorities, and the very first priority I want to talk about here in this stream is actually money. Money is a huge priority. A lot of people need to know how to use that priority, and I feel like the first part of this is actually going to be a lot of questions, actually. I'm going to kind of ask a question and then kind of explain a little bit further. So, and we're going to get started here. Also, I do have to say real quick, I don't want to make it all about this. I really don't. I just want to say real quick, we are heading really close to 250 subscribers. I just want to thank you guys a lot for every place you've got me right now. I think this month we've gained an extra 50 subscribers. So really, I do appreciate it. That means we're almost halfway to 500. The goal was originally 500 subscribers in February 15th. Around that time, February 15th or so. That was the goal. We're getting really close. Thank you guys so much for where you've got me today. I'm really, really excited. So that being said, let's get into it. All right. So the first priority I want to talk about is actually money. Money is a very big priority. There's a lot to cover on money specifically. But I want to get started here. And so I kind of want to ask a few questions and kind of bring a few examples into this whole thing. The first is, how did I used to prioritize my money? All right, so this is before. Now I've kind of changed it all, but how I used to prioritize it. All right, so how I used to prioritize my money, even since I was young, money was, every time I earned money, it was always about saving it. Now, in my mind, I really didn't want to save any of it, you know? I would get $200 and I'd want to go spend it on an RC car immediately. Now that you can see, I do spend on a lot of RC cars now, which is going to cover the later part of the video. But ultimately, a lot of it was about money, you know, or just saving. There was kind of I'm gonna move back here so I'm not like right in front of the camera, but it was all about kind of saving ultimately when I was younger, and that was super important to save and all this stuff. So as soon as I would get money, I would want to spend it immediately. And so I think a huge priority in money is asking yourself why. Why did I do that? For me, I definitely know for sure that I am a spender. And money is very, very important to understand where you're prioritizing it and why you're prioritizing it that way. So for instance, when I was younger, I would make money and immediately want to spend $2 on candy. That can be on toys. That can be literally anything. RC cars. But there's a very little part inside of me that wanted to save it, but the rest was all spend it. And so here's why it really matters ultimately is your priorities. You can't have mixed priorities on certain things. If you're trying to figure out how to prioritize certain parts of your money, you can't, say, I kind of want to save it, but I kind of want to spend it. You have to be on one side, okay? Save some and spend some. You can't spend all of it, and you can't save all of it. So right now, that was my priority ultimately when I was younger, is to save as much money as I possibly can. Save for a car, save for all this stuff, right? And now, so that leads to the next question. The next question is, how do I prioritize my money now? Now, this is a very big thing, because the way I prioritize my money now is very different than the way I used to prioritize my money. So the way I prioritize it now is I already have a car. I ended up buying a car in August, I think it was. And so after I bought my car, I had to buy a new engine. So that's where probably $10,000 of my money went. And then priorities such as, getting a new streaming setup. Now that I have these things, a car, a setup, I've started to, kind of change the way I spend my money now. And do you know where it's all gone? I'll tell you where it's all gone. It's all gone into RC cars. Now, this is what I'm wondering. is because I've switched priorities. I have different priorities. I used to save way more than I do now, which is kind of important to think about because now I am getting closer to being at the age where I'm going to be moving out. I'm going to have more responsibilities and I'm spending it all on RC. So ultimately, I wanted to kind of discuss priorities leads into a wide majority of things. The first one I'm talking about right here is money, and the next is, what you do for your YouTube channel. It's, simple things like that. It kind of covers so many things that you can't just have anything here. Yeah, for sure. Insurance on your car. So now that you have bought a car, you've put $10,000 into a car, you've got your car running great. Awesome. There's always things that you can improve on it. Okay? Brakes, blinkers, insurance, like he said, gas. There's everything else. The more you buy, the more you have to add to that expense, the more things you have to pay. So it's really important to get your priorities straight because I feel like now if I decided to say, hey, I'm going to start saving my money now because I'm getting closer to the age where I am actually going to be spending that money more, then I need to start figuring this out now, not later. I kind of had a video on that actually. It was about change, and it was focus on now, not later. If there's something you want to do right now, focus on it. What's the first step? Work on that first step. And so here's what I always say. Whenever I tell somebody, I always tell someone, I want to be a cook. I always joke at work because we like to sing in the kitchen, and I like to, do my own freestyle rap sometimes. And I like to say, I want to be a rapper someday. And my boss always corrects me and says, what do you mean I want to be? Don't say I want to be. I want you to say I will be. Because if you have a dream in your idea, or in your head, if you have an idea in your head, a dream, and you want to keep telling yourself, I want to be this, I want to do this dream, you will never actually make it out into the world. Your focus needs to be solely focused on, I will do this. This is my dream, I will accomplish it. Now, what's the first step? Work towards that step. So for me, it is, I want to be an evangelist in Egypt. Right? So what's the first step to that? I feel like this is the first step. Starting on YouTube, working on live streams to kind of set an example as I'm working towards that. So that's one of the first things is when you see change, when you have an idea, when you have a big dream, what's the first step? Work towards it immediately. Don't put it off until later. Oh, I'll figure it out tomorrow. No, work on it now. Because if you decide to put it off till later, here's what actually happens. Everything you decide to put off till later, you end up completely missing the opportunity. So, for instance, if I decided, I'll go get a job later. I do have a job right now, but this is just an example, right? I want to say, hey, I need money and I need a job. But, I'll go and check next week if there's any jobs. The longer you put it off, the harder it becomes for you to go and accomplish that goal. Seriously, it really is. The longer you put it off, the harder it is to accomplish that goal. And so why it's so important to get your priorities straight is because if you decide, all right, I want to go to work what's my priority in working a job? Is my priority to show up on time, be the best I can possibly be, and as a result, get money? Or is my priority money? And that's the reason why so many people actually work jobs that they hate. Is because their priority in that job is money. What if you decide to try to change that priority around? I know it can be difficult for certain people. I've had a job I really didn't like. Obviously, everyone does, right? What if you decide to turn that around? What if you decided to create an opportunity in the whole thing? Say, I said opportunity, priority. What if you change the priority around? Now, you're going from, my goal is to make money at this job, to, my goal is to stay positive, help people out, be the best I can be, show up on time. That's kind of one goal for me is since I've gotten to my job, I've gotten there and everyone said good things about me. And here's the reasons why. I'm not bragging or anything. I'm really not. All I'm saying is I'm trying to set an example for you guys. So what I would do is I would show up on work every single day early and I would stay positive. If someone asks me, how was your day today? I would always be honest, but I would always say amazing. right? And so when someone says, "Hey, how was your day today?" You can set a bigger example of how your day actually is going by saying, "Man, my day is amazing." I like to kind of twist it around sometimes and say, "Yesterday was great, today's better, and tomorrow's going to be even best. Tomorrow's going to be." And there's customers, they'll come in and complain. We'll say, "How was your day?" And say, "Oh, terrible. Life's awful." Then what can you do about it? If this is where you're at, if this is the issues you're facing, prioritize. Where do you want to be in life? What's your first priority? And if that priority is not working, if there's something in the whole mix that just doesn't fit together, why are you still trying to make it work? Why is that still your number one priority if it's still not working for you? Right? So someone came in, they started talking about, girl, trying to get a wife someday, I'm trying to get a wife and I'm trying to get a girlfriend, this one, and that seemed like, from what I heard, that was their top priority. Obviously, they're complaining about it. It's not working for them. So why is that still their top priority? Something has to change. So you need to change that aspect. What's first? If I'm trying to focus on getting a wife, getting a girlfriend, all this stuff, okay? If this is my first priority, it's not working, what needs to go above that to make it work? First, I would say the first thing you need is a godly foundation. You need to be a Christian. You need to set an example for yourself. Not build an image. Build an image is solely to be recognized. Setting an example is to ultimately give God the glory, is what your goal is, as setting an example. That's what it's for. And so before you focus on something, say, I've mentioned that I want to be an evangelist in Egypt. All right, so that's my goal, is to be an evangelist in Egypt. I can't just walk out the door and start walking over to Egypt. All right, there I am. I'm an evangelist. I have to start making the first step. If that's my first priority, get to Egypt, I'm not going to make it out there. I can't walk the whole direction, right? So I gotta focus on something. What's the first priority? What's the first goal? Learn a little bit deeper, increase my faith, study as much as I can in the Bible to learn now before I go and try to evangelize somewhere that I haven't been yet, right? So priorities is a huge thing. What's the first priority? Study. The second priority is learn about that culture, maybe. The third priority is talk to people. Fourth priority is pray. Or first priority should ultimately be pray. And kind of figure out your whole priorities. Create a list of your priorities. Everything mixes together in every aspect of our life. You need to have a priority, a top priority in that. I go to the gym. Why is it that I go to the gym? Is my priority to be noticed by a bunch of other people? Is my priority to feel good about myself? Or to, have a bunch of girlfriends? That's not actually, but what is it, honestly? So, you gotta think about, what is my number one priority? Is my priority going to a gym to stay healthy and be fit? Or is my priority to go to the gym and just really look good for everyone else? Everyone else can see me and be like, "Wow, you look really good." What is my actual priority? And so this is super important, even when we go back to money, having priorities and money, because I started to kind of turn around all my ideas. I went and bought a bunch of RC cars like this. I think I bought 2 this month, and it costed me probably around $400. But here's where I had to step back and say, wait a minute, I got to figure out my priorities. Because I started to realize, now that I'm getting these done, I'm really stressing to pay my bills. I have enough money, but just barely. $6 in my account for the whole week. When you start prioritizing where you actually want to be, when you start deciding, okay, I'm going to focus on, instead of going in and trying to just buy a bunch of RC cars, I'm an RC YouTuber, so for my shorts, that's what I do for RC, my shorts and long form videos. So that's why I would decide to go in and buy one RC car for my shorts. Just buy one. And then use the same one over and over and over again. Now I get it. You want to say, but what about variety? People are going to want a variety. People are going to want different ones. I get it. But what is my priority? Same thing on YouTube. What is my priority on here? Is my priority while live streaming, is my priority to be recognized? Is my priority to make money? Or is my priority to teach something? For me, my number one priority is to teach something. For you guys to actually learn. Second, my priority is to, let you guys, know who I am. I want people to see me for who I am, not just an RC content creator. I want to be someone more than that. It's kind of, Do you know how many times we go to someone like that with like big power, and we see someone, you go and see someone in the gym that's like looking really good, and you think, wow, they look so good, but you never think about going and asking them how much work they put in to get there. Same thing with restaurant owners. As I work in a restaurant now, my boss, he's been in the business for 23 years. 23 years. People come up to him all the time. People always come in and say, "Hi, Leo, how are you?" And here's the issue. Everyone sees what he has. Everyone sees how big of a restaurant he has, all the food he has, every single bit of his restaurant, but no one asks how much time he put into it. And I see this more and more I'm with him, the more I start to realize everyone looks at you for who you are now and not for how long it took you to get there, right? So all your goals now, everything you've accomplished in this moment, people aren't going to go, "Oh, wow." Like, I bet they put a lot of hard work into that. People are going to see you as, "Oh, that's cool. I'm glad we're the," or they're going to be start out as jealous. They're going to be jealous, and I wish I could get to that point. I wish I could be the same person. Right now, I'm at. I've been kind of watching. I've been trying to figure out the whole YouTube algorithm, trying to figure out how everything works together. And if I go and look at other top creators and say, "Wow, these creators can make so much money, so much content. These creators are amazing," and I go and solely focus on that the fact that where they are right now, and not how long it took them to get there. If I go and say, look at Mr. Beast and say, "Wow, Mr. Beast has so much money. He's this is where he's at. He's amazing. I wish I could be there right now." That would be a completely stupid comparison, right? Because I'd be comparing my compare. Anyways, I'd be how do I say this word, guys? Comparing. There we go. Comparing myself to someone who spent 6 years. Mr. Beast has probably spent 6 years getting where he's at right now. And so it's really unfair for me to see where he's at now and focus on that and act like I should be there in 1 year. If I decided to do that in 1 year, it would be almost impossible. It would be impossible to get where he's at right now. 30 million subs in 1 year. It's stupid to compare yourself now with how far someone has made their life. It's better if you start realizing, okay, Mr. Beast took 6 years to get where he's at. It's gonna take me 3 years to get to 1 million subscribers. Don't make your goals crazy. Don't. Because the crazier you make your goals, if you make your goals right now, my goal of 500 subscribers by February, I think February, yeah, that's my goal. But it would be really, really dumb for me to go and make that goal 10,000 subscribers. Because the bigger you make that goal in your mind, the harder it is for you to actually go and keep that goal, stay with it, make that goal work. So if my goal is 10,000 subscribers, do you think right now I would be streaming and trying to teach you guys something? Absolutely not. If my goal is 10,000 subscribers, I'll be going and entertaining you guys in some way. Do something amazing. Go and destroy an RC car just for fun. Just video everything. And if that was my goal, if my goal is 10,000 subscribers, then why am I talking like this? It's not. My goal is not 10,000 subscribers. I think it's more important to educate people and set an example for yourself for who you actually are than go and make a bunch of money. Again, that's where my priorities come in here, because my priority on YouTube at first was to go and make a bunch of subscribers, make a bunch of money from YouTube. My priority now has changed to be an example on YouTube. For the content I do, I can be an example. Even though my RC shorts, this is not a huge example. You guys watch those and it's like, okay, you're driving a car. I get it, But the example I want to be an example in at least one part of my YouTube channel, and that's my live streams. I feel like this is the most important part because this is the part I put most of my time into, is live streams. And so I used to stream, I'm not sure if some of you guys know this, I used to stream about every single day, once every single day, so that'd be 7 days a week. Okay? And I would only stream for like 30 minutes, 7 days a week. When I started to prioritize being an example over money or subscribers, that's where it kind of all turned around. Because I decided it was time to actually kind of, it was time to hold back a little bit. Instead of live streaming 7 days a week, I'm gonna live stream 3 days a week. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. That way, in between each day, I can actually take time to write out notes, really put thought into it. Put scripture into it if I want to. But it's really, really important to actually be at a place where you can be confident in what you're saying versus hop on a YouTube video, hop on a YouTube live stream, start streaming, and be like, what do I say for this stream? That was one thing is I started a stream, and my brother was watching the stream, and I started streaming, but I didn't know what to talk about because I was focused so much on making money, making subscribers. I just decided to kind of sit in front of the camera like this and say nothing, and it's kind of it. That was honestly what I thought was gonna work. And after the live stream, I just kind of tried to pile everything together in my mind, everything I possibly could. Tried to get everything together, every last bit, everything I could think of to start talking about in the live stream because I started to focus on I don't have anything. I need to come up with something. So after the live stream, I went and talked to my brother and said, "Hey, what did you think of the live stream?" He said, "Honestly, when I hopped on, you were not talking about anything really. Like I didn't even know what you were talking about. Like there was no goal to the live stream." And after I kind of thought about that, I kind of started to realize it's better to have a goal. It's better to have a plan than to go and try to make subscribers. If I decide to go and live stream every single day, I can make 1 subscriber every day off a live stream. Versus if I put my time into it and really care about you guys, try to set an example on YouTube, I can make 5 subscribers in 1 stream. Even though it's spread out, even though I've got, a stream on Tuesday, a stream on Thursday, and a stream on Saturday instead of every single day, it's kind of setting an example for who I am. If you stream every single day and you do something stupid and just weird every single day, you're probably not attracting an audience. I mean, you are, but you're attracting the wrong audience. You're kind of, this is what I like to say, instead of trying to build an example, you're trying to build an image. It's those kind of people that focus on entertainment content, focus on it. I'm talking like put 24 hours of their day, every single day, thinking about it, writing down all their ideas. That's what I'm talking about. Putting down every single idea into their content only to make you guys happy. Mr. Beast, I'm not gonna say anything about, who I think he is because I don't know much about him personally. But, it's one of those things that entertainment works really, really well for people. If you want to hop on and see me go and decide to crash a car off a cliff, drive it off a cliff, obviously I'm not inside, drive it off a cliff, and you guys will probably be really intent. Wow, that's really cool. It's crazy to watch. Be really entertaining for you guys. But is my goal to entertain a crowd and gain money? Or is my goal to set an example and be right before God? Right? Set an example. While I'm here, it's better to go and be as faithful as possible. Be the best example I can for Christ. Instead of trying to make money. If every priority makes a huge difference in your life. Like I was saying, if my priority is to gain subscribers on these live streams, then I should not be doing this right now. But it's not. My priority is to teach people something. So that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm talking about priorities. Because every single stream, the idea changes, okay? Last week I talked about, what was it? I forget right offhand, but it's pretty cool. It worked really well. This week I'm talking about priorities. Next week I'll probably talk about something else. We'll see what we talk about. But every priority, so what I'm trying to say is, if I try to prioritize RC over everything else, or I'm gonna buy a bunch of RC cars, I'm going to continue to go on YouTube, and I am going to just do only RC car videos every single month. I'm gonna buy a new RC car. Then all the other money I need for other expenses right now, I'm thinking about going to Israel. All these ideas, they're out the door. All my other ideas for my future, I cannot focus on because I'm focusing on right now buying a bunch of RC cars for my YouTube channel. What's the point? What's the point of going and focusing on put all your focus on one thing, spend all your money on one idea, instead of going to expand and bring it into other areas? So when I was talking about, I bought 2 RC cars this month, and that was my priority for this month, was buying a bunch of RC cars. here's where I wanted to actually talk about that and bring that in. I know it kind of seems weird, but I want to bring that in for a second. The reason why I was talking about that is because now I stopped buying RC cars for a minute, just held back for a second, took a break, I stopped, and now I'm actually taking a second to focus on saving up money. The more money I save, the more rich I feel, honestly. Because if someone comes to you and says, hey, I need $100 real quick, and you say, oh, I can't. I just spent $300 on 2 RC cars this month. Versus, hey, I need $100 real quick. Okay, I have like $500 extra dollars here. I don't like to spend this, but I have it just in case. You know, having a priority, is your priority spending money on RC cars to make your YouTube channel go really well, or is my priority saving money so my future can go really good? Now, either way, if I decide to spend money on RC cars to really make my YouTube channel go really good, and maybe I can make money off YouTube in the future, maybe I can, you know. Either way, it's going to add to your future in some way. It really will. It'll add to your future in some way. If I decide to focus on YouTube, all the RC cars can add to my YouTube future, everything I do in YouTube. Or I can go and save money, and when I'm 18, I'll be ready to move out. I'll be ready to pay for my car. Every single thing I have. When you start thinking of how much money you have, how much money you want to spend, when you start thinking of those priorities, prioritize where you want to be in the future. It's really important, even when you're young, to start thinking about your priorities. It's better to, I'm going to start doing this now that I say this, because I've kind of mentioned it a few times. Write a list of priorities. Here's what I would ask you guys to do. You guys know I don't like to go on live streams and talk about everything that needs to change and don't give you guys something that'll actually change. I want to help you guys actually change something in your life. If you're struggling with priorities, if you're wondering why is this not working, and what do I need to do to fix my priorities? Here's what you can do. As soon as I said that, I lost my viewer. That's fine. Here's what you can do in order to do that. If you're trying to figure out your priorities, here's exactly what you can do. Every single day, or not even every single day, just write down a list of your priorities, from 1 being the most important all the way down to the least important. And here's why. If you want to go and write down a list of your priorities, first, I'm just going to give an example. First is have a good relationship with God. Second, have a good relationship with parents. Third, make money. Fourth, have a good relationship with friends. If you start writing down all of these priorities every week, kind of make sure it's still the same priority, still the same list, and you actually decide to follow those priorities, please stick to it. This will be the easiest way to do it too, I feel like, is write a list of your priorities and then follow them in first. What is first? What is first on your priority list? The very first thing you can do is actually create a good relationship with God. All right, that's top of your priority list. Have a good relationship with God. Fulfill that. Stay at the top. Don't bring your top priority all the way down to the bottom because you think it's less important. What is your second priority? Spend time with parents. Make that your second priority. Stick to it. Okay? And now that, even though I'm saying this in this stream, I haven't actually done this, which I honestly hate doing that. I hate going into live streams and then telling you guys what you guys can do and never do it myself. That's why I like to, when I go into live streams, I like to talk about things that I actually struggle with myself. Things that I have issues with, my priorities. Because I'm a spender, I have a really hard time prioritizing my money in proper places. I didn't have a hard time when I bought my car. I didn't have a hard time when I bought my engine. But because there's nothing I'm really saving for right now, it's really easy to spend it. So here's just what I would say is, now that I'm saying this, I really don't like to go on live streams and tell you guys, change this in your life, fix your life up, and then not fix my own life up. So here's what I'm going to do from now on. I want to let you guys know. I'm going to start writing my own priorities now. I'm actually going to create a list right here. I'm going to grab a notebook of some sort. Probably not this one. I'll grab a different notebook. This is the one I use for my my journaling, my notes for my live stream. I'm going to use this notebook, and I'm going to write down my priorities. Number 1 being the most important. Number 2, second important. All the way down to the very bottom, and I'm going to try to follow those priorities. By the end of this week, I want to actually tell you guys, I think that'll be what? Next Saturday? Next Saturday, I'll actually tell you guys how I stick to my priorities. I would encourage you guys to do the same. If you want to do this, write down your priorities. What is your top priority? And stick to it. Keep writing a list. What is your next? What's your next? What's your next? All the way down to the very bottom. And stick to those priorities. Every morning you wake up, what's my first priority? Spend time with God. Perfect. Read the Bible. What's my second priority? Spend time with parents. Go upstairs, say, hey mom, I really love you. Thank you so much. Give her a hug. Okay. Crossed off. What's next on my list? All right, make money. Start planning on how to make money. Maybe that's streaming on YouTube. Maybe that's going and working on getting a job, or that's being faithful to your boss. Okay. So next, checked it off. Fourth, keep checking off those priorities as you go down. Do not move your priorities. Well, I guess that's actually not true. You should be moving your priorities. But actually take time to think about it. Should I move this priority? If God's number one, if I'm focusing on having a good relationship with God, am I deciding to grab that relationship with God? And am I going to move that priority all the way down to the bottom? Am I actually sticking to this priority? If you're not sticking to the priority on top, if your top priority is focused on having a good relationship with God, and you let that go, then that priority from the top is automatically going all the way down to the bottom. So keep on going. Don't let those priorities, don't let them worry you or anything. Focus on the priority in the moment and change it. It's easier to say that than to do it, but I feel like it's really important to have a list in front of yourself. See, look, give me just a second. Here's what I'm gonna do. If I have a pen and a paper right here, a pencil and paper. I'm gonna write my first priority down right now, just so you guys can see it. My very first priority. It's gonna be really hard to write one-handed, and this is kind of my fault because I need a new stand for my mic. Anyways, that being said, I'm gonna write my first priority, and that is going to be God. And yes, I am left-handed. All right, my first priority is God. You guys can see it on the paper, barely, but you guys can see it. Now, I want to focus on. I've already started the list here. Here's what I would ask you guys to do. I've started my list. I've started my priority list. I'm gonna fill it out. I'm gonna fill it out the rest of the way after I finish this stream. But what I would ask you guys to do, since I've started my list of priorities, the first one being God, I just started it, right? I'm going to fill it the rest out after I finish the stream. What I would ask you guys to do, go grab a paper and a pencil, write down your first priority. What is the thing you need to do most? Write that down and write down a whole list. What's next in line? What's next? But here's what I'm trying to say. If your priority is sports, if there's something you can improve in sports, and that's your number one priority, check that off before you go and move to the next. Okay? Don't skip something because you don't think it's important. Priorities are a huge thing, and every single bit of our life, everything we do has a priority in it. That's our job, our relationships, everything we do, the example we set. You can decide to go on YouTube and be an example. That can be your top priority, be an example, help people learn stuff. Or your priority can be make money on YouTube or get subscribers on YouTube. What is your priority? Now, so I'm going to ask I'm not sure if anyone would like to comment in the live stream, what is your top priority? Because I want to know. It's really important for you guys to tell me too, because I feel like it's good if you guys go and write it down. It's really important to do that because priorities are one of the biggest pieces in our lives. It really is. Everything has a priority in it. Right now, I'm just kind of, what is my priority in work? Okay. You can even have like 5 different lists. Change it up. Decorate your list a little bit. Draw on it. I don't care what you do. Just create a list of priorities. This could be school. This could be, your work priority. This could be your friendship priority, your relationship priority, or it could be your life priority. What's your number one life priority? Okay. All right, so that's yours. All right. Going to Air Force Academy and getting into an insanely good high school. Great. That's your number one priority. What I would ask you to do is go and write that down. Because if you write it down and keep it in front of you, the best place you can, put it on your desk or wherever you see it the easiest, put it in front of you and focus on accomplishing that goal. Focus on that as much as you possibly can. Because if you say that in the stream now and you leave it, You forget about it. In a few years, is this still going to be your number one priority? It may be, but just focus on that number one priority. Same thing with your second. What's your second priority? Focus on that. Change needs. You need to do it now. If you're looking to change something, change it now. Don't wait. I know it's kind of difficult for me. One of my priorities is go and be an evangelist in Egypt. Okay, if that's my priority, and I want to say go and do it now, what's the first step so I can work toward that? I know I can't go and accomplish that right now. I'm not old enough to go and walk over there. I'm not old enough to go and drive all the way over there by myself. So what's the first one I can do? What's the first task I can complete to start fulfilling that idea? So that's what I would encourage you to do, is start write down that priority and start work on the first task you can possibly do in order to get into that. So I'm really glad you brought that up because it's super important, and I'm super happy with this whole live stream. Above all, I just really want you guys to learn something, and I've learned from this too, actually. Just because I've been teaching you guys something in this live stream, I really learned something important. I learned to actually start writing stuff down myself. When I started actually creating, I'm not sure if I can find it right now. I probably won't. Oh, there it is. There's a paper. I did find it. So when I first started my calisthenics transformation, I started doing 30 push-ups a day, and then every single month I would add 10 push-ups to that. Well, right now I'm at 70 push-ups a day. So next month it'll be 80 and so on. I started writing everything down. I started writing the date, how many reps, how many sets, the days I missed. Because if you write it all down, if you see it in front of you, it's going to start to bother you, you know? I missed that whole week. I need to get back into that. I need to focus on that. This is why writing stuff down is so important. Because I have a whole list to look back on. If in 2 years from now, I completely forget about this calisthenics transformation, and I go and grab this paper and look at it, wow. I stayed pretty true to what I was wanting to do. You know, I'm already almost on 100 and... how many? 150 days in the transformation, and that's because I wrote everything down. So that's why I want to encourage you guys to create a list of all your priorities. Because if you write it down, it's so much easier to stick to that list if you focus on it. If you write it down, so much easier. I promise you. It really is. So, that being said, I really appreciate you guys coming into the stream today. I really want to focus on my streams being genuine. I really want to focus on not trying to just get subscribers off my streams. I want to focus on being an example and teaching you guys something. So, I'm going to say that now. And I really appreciate you guys. I really do. You guys have already got me so close to 250 subscribers. I really appreciate that. And that being said, I will see you guys in the next stream on Tuesday, I believe. All right. See you guys in the next stream on Tuesday. Bye.